be careful sharing your joy with people who secretly envy you. Like they'll give you this little half smile and fake golf clap, and they'll say all these things, but the truth is that they envy who you are. They envy how people see you. They envy that people like you. They envy that you're getting attention that they're not getting. There's the reality that our biggest downfall is always going to be people who are in secret competition with us. It hurts to think that people that we wanted to share good news with, that we wanted to trust, would do these things to us, and they would show up in those ways, that they would try to sabotage your success, and you will never become the best possible version of you, the best person that you could possibly be, if the people you have to carry around you are people that you need to be concerned about. And there's a reason why they don't celebrate you. There's a reason why they can't show up for you. There's a reason why they feel like they have to be better than you for them to like themselves even a little bit. Because in their mind, they're in competition with you, even if you don't know that at all. So this truth of the people around us, before we dive into us becoming the best version of us, we need to be very aware that there are some people in our lives that envy us for no apparent reason. Like that is the greatest enemy you will ever have. A person in your life that hates you because you're doing well. And I believe that we've all gone through this. I believe that every person is going to struggle with this at some point. You are going to deal with people who you trust and care and love dearly, who see that you're doing good and are triggered by your success. And this is how you tell, right? How can you tell these people are this way? They never celebrate you. You could do everything in this world. You could fly for all you care, and they will never celebrate you. And then the crazy thing is that these people aren't always just like friends. They're sometimes family members or people in your life that they'll see that you're doing good, and they will have something negative to say about it. They'll sit here and they will never actually celebrate your success. You need people around you. When you're becoming the best version of you, you will always need people around you that affirm you, even when you don't feel like you're the best. Imagine that you're doing something great. You need people that are going to clap and celebrate you. And it's not about you needing the validation. To be completely clear, you don't need anyone's validation. You don't need anyone to make you, feel good about you, to know that you're doing well and happy with that success. You should feel that on your own. But we do need people around us that desire to do that for us, even if it's not a requisite, because this shows what they think about you. This shows what they believe about you. And to be clear, doesn't mean they have to be super emotional about things either. Like, I'm not a super emotional person. I am encouraging and I'm supportive, and I will, do what you need for you, but I'm not going to sit and be like crying over things, right? That might not be my response, but you will know that I'm celebrating you because I'll be clear about it. I'll share it. I'll scream it from the rooftops if I have to, but you will feel like you are supported. These people who you need to make sure are far from you will never celebrate you. They will be the last ones to ever celebrate you. They never express their joy for your accomplishments. They never seem happy when you're doing good. They, in fact, for the most case, if you pay attention close enough, you'll notice that they're frustrated when you're telling them. I'm telling you this from experience. And again, I believe everyone has gone through this. I believe we've all dealt with people in our lives who we've anticipated to be better for us, or we're going through it now and we're not completely aware of it. And hopefully these points that we're talking about here before we start this episode kind of just helps you unpack this a little bit. But I have had people in my life where I've told them of my success, and you can feel the disinterest. You could feel the weight in the room. You could feel that they're just not happy with it. Why? Because they feel like they have to compete with me, when ironically, all I want is the best for them. And I want what I'm doing in my life to motivate the people around me. Because if you are a good friend, you'll want your people to be good for you, good around you, good to themselves. I desire to do the best for the people near me. I desire to connect my friends with places that I know that I speak names of people that I love dearly, in places that I know that they would thrive in. I speak names in rooms for other people that we might not even be super close, but I know that this would be a bridge for them. Because why? It has nothing to do with me or even the other people that I'm connecting them with. It's them. It's their desire. It's what they want. And if I can facilitate something for someone, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I be a bridge for a person that is hungry for something, that's showing that they're showing up and they want to be there and they want to be present? Why wouldn't I want to do those things? But people who are miserable typically would never do that. Especially if they can do something for you and they're so envious of you because they can compete with who you are, they think that if they mention your name in a place, it's going to diminish them. It won't. All of our light can shine. But unfortunately, people like this will look at your success or see that you're doing something, and they'll be so envious of you that they refuse to do anything that will promote you, that would cheer you on, that would be joyful for you. They will never do this. And it's sad and it hurts when it comes to people that are close to us. But I also think this is a gift, by the way. I do think that this is a huge thing, because for a lot of us, if you're anything like me, I'm very much a giver. Like my love language is acts of kindness, but it's also gift giving. And people misconstrue that, right? It doesn't mean that I just want to buy things and just give you things. It means that I intentionally look at things and know that it's going to help you, and or you're going to find joy in it, and that's where my joy comes from. And if you're like me, anything of that nature, it hurts because you think that the people that you're pouring into are people that are going to love you back and that are going to be joyful and grateful for not what just you've done, but also just for who you are. Because, again, we echo that they are people who you want to see win. Now, again, I say this is a gift. Why is it a gift? Because you wouldn't have left. You wouldn't have walked away from anyone or anything thinking that if you were to try harder, they would have stayed, or they would have been happier, or they would have eventually seen, man, maybe I should be better to this person. It's a gift that they left you. It's a gift that they showed themselves. It's a gift that they revealed their hand, because it shows you who they fully are without you having to do more. And when they leave you, great. That's even better, because it stops this overthinking that you would have. It takes this projectile away from it, this thing that's going towards you or that you're going towards, and it moves it away to another place where now it's like, okay, at the very least, I'm only focused on that. You might be angry, you might be upset, but there is nothing that you're going to go back to because it moved away from you. It's a gift. And our last point here for these people before we dive into the actual episode, they are quick to find the problem to any solution. These people that you need to cut out of your life before you become who you need to become, the people that are walking away from you, they will always find a problem to your solutions. They will always look at what you're doing or saying and find an issue with it. You will never become who you need to become holding on to people that are dragging you down. And I don't mean you don't love, you don't care. I mean you become aware of who they are and what they're doing in your life. You're not afraid of failing. You're afraid of looking dumb. Like, most of us are not afraid that we're not going to be successful, that we're going to try something and it's going to fail, that we won't be able to accomplish something. We're not afraid of those things because we know that's a part of life. We know that you have to make an effort, and sometimes that effort's going to feel like it fell short. What we're really afraid of is opinion, public opinion. We're afraid of what our family's going to say. We're afraid of what our friends are going to say. We're afraid of our peers, or even people that have no opinion that should have any basis in our lives. We're afraid of their words instead of our reality. We don't become who we can become because we're more concerned about what other people say about us. We think that holds more weight over us than anything else. And I need you to understand that it absolutely doesn't. There's no one in your life right now that is close to you that shouldn't cheer you on as you try something. And this is, again, the indicator from the very beginning of this episode that the people that are for you will be for you in every outcome. They're not going to judge you. They're not going to say you look dumb for trying something. And I think it's worse. I think you look more dumb when you have a dream and you don't live it out because you're concerned about anything else. I think that's the worst thing you will ever do to yourself. The reason you don't become this person that you can envision is because you think that the opinions of the crowd value more than the actions of your life. Like, we looked at this, and again, it's not even your fault. I think we need to understand that this comes from how most of us are raised. Like, the things the pressure that we had to take on, the things that we had to accomplish, the way that we had to look a certain way or flow in a certain style just to kind of be accepted or invited in everything, in our family, in our friend groups, and all these places. We have created something around where validation has become a prize. Like, the fact that people will clap for me. Listen to me. People will clap for you when it's convenient, when it's easy to see. Like, when you reach the very top of the top, then they'll say, oh, look at you. This was like an overnight thing. It's not. You have to realize that the only time people cheer for people is when it's convenient to cheer. Like, that occurs. I don't mean like your intimate people, your close people, people that should be supporting you through every process. I mean the crowd. I mean the exterior, the social media people, the people that you've known for years. They don't cheer you on until that. And I get it that we don't want to seem like we don't know what we're doing. But if we're being real, none of us do. Like, even if you're an expert in something, there's someone out there that's better than you at it. So you're going to look foolish in some things. But the only way you perfect anything, and I always like use this montage of like these videos that I used to do before, how they used to look and how terrible and ugly. And part of me is like, oh, I should delete this. And the other part of me is like, absolutely not. Because it's showing the fruit of my effort. that things didn't look good, that I wasn't able to really record well, and things were blurry and sounded poorly and all this stuff. And even now, I'm still not that good, but I'm getting better. There's an improvement level. We need to understand that if we want to become who we want to become, we cannot be afraid to be bad, really bad. We cannot be afraid to look dumb, really dumb. You cannot be afraid to be the first stage of that next person, because everything will progress from there. It will look dumb for a little bit, and then it'll start working, and then you become the blueprint. We can't continue to give power to judgment. Maybe you're not the best in the world, but you're the best right here, right now, the best version of you. You're growing to be better. And what I do think that we struggle with when it comes to this looking dumb is we then begin to question us. Well, maybe I'm not talented enough, or maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I don't have what it takes. But you will only be as successful as delusional that you are. Like, the more delusional you become, the better you will be. The more you believe in a way that doesn't even make sense, the better you will be, the more successful you will be. Because you will live in a way that is fitting to the person that you desire to be and not to the person you currently are. You will live in a way that shows up so firmly for them. And I'll be completely honest again. I said this often in this podcast, that I am vulnerable with you guys because I don't ever want you to think that anyone has everything perfectly figured out. None of us do. I am far, far, far from perfect. But I do know that the only way to be better is to show up and to be consistent at that. And I've had this last couple of months, really, because of everything that I'm struggling, other things I'm doing. There's excuses, but I'm not going to give excuses power because they don't deserve it. But I've had this struggle where I'm like, okay, well, I've gotten to the door of certain things that I want to do, but I'm still not in. Right? I've gotten to certain accolades, to certain reaches, and made certain financial investments and whatever. Things have grown in different areas, but I'm still not where I desire to be. And I was sitting with like this thought, and I'm just like, man, but what if next month all this is gone? What if it's all ripped away? And as I'm talking to myself, in my mind, not out loud, I mean, sometimes out loud, I'm a little weird. But as I'm talking to myself, I'm sitting with this impasse that I'm going through and this thought that I'm having. And then and it just really hits me. Believe it or not, the stuff I say here actually makes sense to me, at least. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, yeah, but if I stop, I'll guarantee that it doesn't happen. If I give up, or if I start feeling this lie that's creeping in that I won't do this, then you know what? My brain is going to think, well, we're not going to do it anyway. So we're going to be lazy. We're going to cut back. We're going to stop working so hard. I started thinking the opposite. I started getting that delusion that I'm going to absolutely crush all these things. And I believe so, and I'm going to act as such. And I'm going to be as productive as such. And again, I don't know the outcome of a lot of things that I'm working on, and maybe they will be, maybe they won't. But I do know that it won't be because I didn't do the work. It won't be because I didn't believe in the version of me that I can be. It won't be because I didn't show up for me how I deserve to show up for me. You will become the best version of you, and that delusion is what you live in. When you know that it's inevitable. I don't even mean just like, oh, I think I could do this or this and that. They're like, no, I am going to. And I know that I'm going to, so I'm going to do all the work that is required of me. Will the version of me that I'm showing up as please the version of me that I desire to be? Or am I just content with the failures, or content with not even trying because I'm afraid to look dumb? It's easier to believe that you could be great than to prove whether you are or you aren't. I think a lot of us fail to try because it's easier to just pretend that we're great. It's easier to think about it. It's easier to say, well, yeah, no, I know I'm really good at that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do it because I don't want to. It's easier to fall into that. It's easier to stay there. But when you begin to believe and to act, all these things now have to take a play. You have to actually put it in action. You actually have to show up and do the things. It's not just enough to say it, because a lot of us are married to our own potential. Potential feels safe. Potential doesn't fail you. Potential can't be judged because it's potentially there, but it's not existent. The reason that people are so miserable is because they fall in love in potential and not reality. And this is in everything. This is in relationships, in your own life, in your own careers, in your own dreams. You fall in love with the potential of what you can do, and that's enough for you to be satisfied. The potential of what can happen, that's enough to be satisfied. Potential of the potential growth, but not the reality of what's there. We cannot marry potential. We cannot make money off of potential. We cannot exceed our potential. The only thing we can grow from is active potential. It's not just like, okay, potentially happening. No, like something is being done. Because you might have all the potential in the world, but potential with no action is loss. You were just a person that could have, but never did. And that has to be the scariest thing to live in this world, to know that I have the talent and the gifting to make something happen, but I've never applied myself enough to make it happen. And when I mean enough, I mean like that same thing we just said, delusional. Like I'm going to press through. If it's the last breath that I have and the last thing that I do, I'm going to press in because it's not just potential, it's reality. And if you can't do that, if you can't step into that, you will never be that person. It's impossible for you to be because you refuse to live how they would live. And again, I'm not saying that any of us have it all figured out. None of us are perfect. There's certain things that we all need to grow in. There's certain things I'm going to need to grow in. I'm growing in. But no one can take away your desire if your desire is met with your action. There's a famous quote that says that if you either have to amplify your sacrifice for your desire or lower your desire for your sacrifice. If what you're doing is nothing, then you can't expect that to match the desire because you're not living in a way that is suitable for that thing. And the struggle of us growing, as we grow, there are things called growing pains. You might have heard them, right? You heard growing pains in your knees as you get taller and all these things that kids go through. And whether that's true or not scientifically, that's a whole other thing. But there is going to be growing pains. As you grow and as you change, as you become this better person, there are certain things in your life that are going to hurt. There are certain people, again, that are going to have to leave. There are certain levels that you've been to, that old saying, new level, new devils. There are certain things that you will have to battle that you were not used to battling, and this feels uncomfortable because you've never been this person. You've never been in this place. So it's impossible for you to feel like this is nothing and it's easy because you haven't been here before. But if you are uncomfortable, good. Like you need to be uncomfortable. You cannot grow in comfort. You will never grow into a person you've never been feeling the same way you felt now. You will never be better and bigger if you do not go through uncomfortable situations. There are stages that as we grow, that the previous thing that we knew, the previous covering that we had over our lives is not big enough for this next stage. So you're going to have to grow into something that's bigger. And as we change to become them, us needs to die. Who we are right now. This me needs to die. And that's painful. It's attached to a lot of things that you were comfortable with. You've built the nice little nook for that old version of you. But as you become this new version, this better version, it's going to feel like a loss. Like you're going to feel the grief of growing and mourning who you used to be. But you cannot grow without that stage. There's nothing more that will develop out of this. And I know that a lot of these things almost sound redundant. And I'm going to share some points I probably never heard, well, might have heard, but in a different way. But there needs to be a just complete understanding of you before anything else. And analyze that. So look at the old you and say, okay, well, this is where I need to improve, and these are the things that need to change. And then really sit with that. As you sit with that, and again, I don't mean like you're going to change everything today. Like every little facet of the things that you wanted to adapt to and make new, like I don't believe, I mean, well, it's possible. Nothing's impossible. I don't put anything past anyone. But you won't be able to attack everything at once. But if it's one thing that you need to address right away, take that thing and make it the focus and knock it out. And then pick the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and change and shift and grow. There are certain things that are going to run concurrently, right? Because there are certain things that as we address them and change them, it's going to require more time and more effort, but they're already on par. They're already rolling with us. For us to become this version of us that we deserve to be, we need to become comfortable enough becoming uncomfortable. We need to be able to say, okay, I'm going to step into this so that I can step out of who that was. So Carl Jung actually has this thing called the shadow. And when he talks about the shadow specifically, he talks about this person of us who we hide from the world. There's a version that the world sees and the version of us that we are. And we sit with this because it scares us to live as that person. And what's happening for a lot of people is that they're walking through society almost like with a mask on. This version that is happy, that is cookie cutter, that people see, that people are happy with, that they clap for, that's the version that you show people. But it stifles the fullness of you. Of course, we have such a high level of depression and anxiety. Of course, people are miserable. Of course, people are so sad because it isn't them. They are competing with other masks of other people, and they're looking at those things, and then they're making this assertion over themselves that they are not good enough because they don't look like, or they don't have, or they're not as successful as someone else. Listen to me, you will only be as joyful as you are real. Like the only way you will be joyful with you is if you are real with you. If you're honest about this person that you are, if you're honest about this life that you're living, if you are real with you. So many people are just in this shadow of them. And it doesn't change if you ignore it. It doesn't change if you just let it sit there and just think, well, this is just how I am and who I am. No, you're hiding that version of you. I do appreciate this because there's like a shift happening where people are less concerned with opinions. Like they're less concerned with like what people are going to say about them, how they're going to feel about that. They're less concerned with that nowadays. Now, there's still this battle that we have though because we still want to be liked and appreciated. And I think the most powerful thing you will ever do is not need anyone to like you. Like not need anyone's validation, not need anyone's applause or approval, not need anyone to look at you and say, okay, yeah, you're good. No, because your love, self-love, and who you are is stemmed in who you are, not in who they told you are. You're okay with not being invited. You're okay with not being liked. You're okay with not being celebrated as long as you are celebrating you, as long as you are investing in you, as long as you care about you. We're going to continue to change who we are to fit who they want us to be if we continue to give power to that. The truth is that at the end of life, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, the only person that you will have to answer to other than God is to yourself. Were you genuinely who you wanted to be? Or were you pretending to be something because you think that that's who's liked? Because that's who your parents can approve of? Because that's who's loved? If you have to be a fake version of you to be loved or liked or just appreciated, then it's not you who's being appreciated or loved or liked. It's the image of you that you want them to see. And that hurts because you, as who you are right now, in this very moment, are worthy and dignified of all love, not who you need to pretend to be. If you've never tested yourself, you can always pretend you're capable of anything. It's just tying back to that potential line, right? Where if we never actually test us, we never actually push, we never actually try to grow, we can always just say, well, I was capable of that. I just never tried. You're not capable. I want you to understand this and hear this clearly. The last couple of minutes we have here, you are not capable of things that you have not made effort for. Like the thought could be there. You think you're capable, but there's a difference between thinking I'm capable and actually being capable. And I don't mean that you have to be perfect. I don't mean that you're going to do something and you're going to be the best in the world in that particular thing. I mean that you are not capable of even starting. So you can't say that you're capable without actually making the effort. It sucks to live in a world where we know in our heart that we are driven to something, but too afraid to actually do it. Once you try, it kind of just takes off that light from that fantasy of what could be, and it just shows us who we are. If you want to become that person, don't leave a single stone unturned. Like, do it all. Do everything. Of course, with parameters that you don't hurt your friends or your family, that you're not hurting people around you that actually care about you, or you're not causing a riffle in your own marriage or your own kids, or for other things, of course, that should go without saying. But everything else, turn every stone. Do everything. Know that at the end of your life, you can sit back and say, man, I was so glad that I failed so miserably in so many things. But I can live my life knowing that I made every possible effort in everything that my heart was driven towards. That you weren't limited. That you didn't limit yourself by judgment, but by your failure, by your effort and loud vocal failure. And to be honest, there's not a single person that is a failure that's made an effort. Did it succeed? Maybe, maybe not. But you're not a failure for trying. You're a failure for not trying. The only real failure exists in no effort at all, in not actually doing something. Because for a lot of us, we are so concerned with our ego, with how people see us, how we're perceived, what we seem to have, or how good we are at things. We're so locked in by our ego that it prevents us from actually being that good. Growth destroys your ego. It's difficult, right? I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying that you're going to wake up again tomorrow and have this all figured out. It is difficult, but it's more difficult to hate yourself later on for not actually trying. And that last portion here, that shadow thing that we talked about that Carl Jung brings up, your shadow is not your enemy. It's your unfinished self. Your confidence becomes buried under that shadow version of you. This person that you know that you're capable of being, but you're afraid to share that with the world. So you're no longer confident because you're not them. You're not who you authentically are. And I've seen this happen often where people whom I've known personally, especially like through high school, there's a couple of people specifically. It was one specific person. I'll tell you his story real quick. That this person was very talented in many things, but his cultural life, again, his family, stifled a lot of things that he wanted to do. So he went down the route that was most beneficial to them, to the family. And he went to school like expected, and he had a very good degree and a very good job. And he hated his job completely. And one day he's just decided, I'm done being that person. I'm done living under what I desire, living under what I love, living under what I was made to do. Like I'm done just filling out. And again, a very affluent position, a lot of money coming in. A lot of the family members of this particular person were very, very happy because he did everything. He did everything they needed him to do, and he checked off all the boxes, but he wasn't happy. He hated who he was. So one day he just decided, up and decided to just leave that career and to go into something more creative that his heart was driving him towards. And again, this is a friend of mine, so I'm very proud of him for this. But I found it funny how, as he left his job, his basic manager said, "You're going to fail miserably. You'll be back in like 6 months asking us for a job." So what he did, after he succeeded, after he had all these accolades and all these brands that he worked with and all these things, he created a website, and it's like a one-page website to his manager. And in that website, he told them, basically says, "Oh, for the person that said such and such," he wrote the name too, actually. But he said, for such and such, who said that I wasn't going to succeed, who said that I'll be back in 6 months. These are all the people that I worked with. These huge names, huge brands, and all these huge things. And he is the most joyful him. And we've been saying we're going to connect for lunch for like a year now, but neither of our schedules has ever worked. But I am very proud of him. And I do think that this is a story that we all can learn from, because sometimes we get blinded by money, right? We'll see this money, and we'll drive ourselves crazy. We'll burn ourselves out just trying to just check off those boxes, just trying to be able to just make that life that most people are anticipating that they will have or working towards. We will ruin us because we want to fit in those places. At the end of your life, again, the only person that will ever find joy and purpose for what they did or what they didn't do isn't the people around you, isn't your parents, isn't your family members, isn't your boyfriend or girlfriend, isn't your career. It's always going to be you.